Capricorn Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, August is a month where there seem to be less major transits, but there still are significant events happening in the month of August, including a couple of retrogrades and even a blue moon. And a blue moon is the second full moon in a month. And in this particular case, these full moons will not be in the same sign. Usually, in my experience, they're in the same sign, but not always, as is evidenced here. On the first of the month, we have one of those full moons, and this is at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And Aquarius for you is a second house, which deals with the money that you earn, your possessions, and your self-worth. This is an earth house because this is Taurus's domain in the universal chart. So you have an affinity with this area of life. A full moon here can bring some sort of result to efforts that you have put out. So for instance, it can be like the harvest time. If you have let's say somebody has started a new business and they're waiting to turn a profit. This could be that time. Also, if you work for someone else, you could get a raise, you could get a bonus, a major tip, or a, I never think about what they call those things, a commission. But this can be, being aware of something that's going on with your finances, like you hear that something is going on with them for some reason. On the 16th, we have a new moon at 23 degrees of Leo, and this is in the opposite house. It's the opposite sign of Aquarius. This is going to be in the 8th house, which is, it's not just money, but it can be other people's money. Okay. So it's interesting. This could indicate for some of you that you are retiring or something where you're not depending on the money that you earn for your sustenance, because the 8th house can be other people's money. Maybe you retire, but your partner or your spouse is still working, and there could be other things as well that I was going to say, you decide to quit your job and you're going to live off of Bitcoin for a year. I don't know if the 8th house is something like cryptocurrencies. Because sometimes I think of the 8th house as like investments. It could be more of the 5th house that's speculative. But in any case, the new moon in the 8th house can be also, if somebody is realizing something about their self-esteem, which is 2nd house, the new moon in the 8th house can be like the phoenix rising from the ashes. For some of you Capricorn individuals, you may have had a major relationship end, not necessarily right now, but in recent years. And I would say in those cases, it's because you have worked on yourself. After all, Pluto has been in your sign for 15 years, and Pluto just went back, into Capricorn. So this could also be playing into that. And when we work on ourselves, sometimes we can see that relationships are not as good as we thought that they were. We're no longer satisfied with being treated a certain way. And so that could be what that is going on. And with that new moon in the 8th house, it's like you're regenerating yourself in some way, or reinventing yourself. That might be a better way of putting it. But it's, when I think about reinventing, I think about an image or something. But this is psychological in nature or spiritual in nature. On the 23rd, the sun goes into Virgo, which is a fellow earth sign. This is going to land in the 9th house, which is Sagittarius's domain, and it's a very expansive area of the chart. Mercury is going retrograde here. So the ninth house can also be about languages, academia. For some Capricorn people, they may be rethinking. Maybe you're rethinking graduate school. I say that specifically because Capricorns in general, especially if your sun is not only in Capricorn, but maybe Mercury, that could be very influential. There's that sense of status and the sense of the experts, the traditional approach, which means you're not like challenging the people who are teaching this. You're going along with the program because you believe that they have the expertise that you feel that is deserving of respect. And you have the same desire that somebody do that for you when you cultivate an area of respect or of expertise, or if you currently have one. So, but some Capricorns, because you have had Pluto in this house, and because Pluto is retrograding in your sign at the moment, you may be, if you have Mercury in the ninth house, you may be thinking to yourself, and now it's retrograding, is this really what I want for myself? To be dealing with this course of studies? Am I doing this for myself or for somebody else? These are some of the questions that can come up. It's very valid because it's not uncommon for people, and this doesn't have to be teenagers. This can be, and I'm talking, when I say teenagers, I mean old enough to go to college, like 18 and 19. This can be people in their late 20s or even in their 30s who are in college, but they're not necessarily doing it for themselves. So you could be rethinking that, or rethinking your major if you are starting out in college. But this is also the area of God. It's the higher knowledge. So we could call that wisdom. And you may be rethinking your life philosophy. And sometimes the life philosophy is very materialistic. It's not necessarily very elevated for everybody. Some people have been kind of conditioned to think life means one thing, and then they realize it's so much more than that. I always say, we're not just here to keep our bodies alive. And I think that really nails it, because a lot of people, they're so like, oh, what'll this job pay, that job? Are we really just here for that? I mean, really? And that's it? And then we just we've left the building for this time around? I think we're here for more than that. On the 28th, and then also watch out for any kind of travel snafus, because the ninth house can be long distance travel. Make sure if you need to get a passport or some other kind of paperwork that you get that really looked at, because you might find out at the airport that something isn't kosher, and then what are you going to do? So on the 28th, Uranus goes retrograde at 23 degrees of Taurus. And so this is going to be interesting. 23, we're in the year 2023, plus the new moon was at 23 degrees of Taurus. So that's a perfect square. But Taurus for Capricorn is the fifth house. So this could definitely be like some kind of, I would even say like a past life thing, that, Uranus in the fifth house in general can be love at first sight, but really, if you analyze what love at first sight is, it's not just a romantic device in a Harlequin romance. This is like a recognition of that individual that you're meant to be with them. So being able to, when Uranus is retrograde, it can make it that much more about the past. But there's a chaotic quality because the planet is Uranus that is retrograding. So what can happen is it's happening so suddenly that for a Capricorn person, you may not even trust it because you think to yourself, how can I possibly deal with this when it seems like things are moving too quickly? Why is this happening? And it could be like overwhelm. If this is somebody you have never met in this lifetime before, this can be especially the case because you're laying eyes on them for the first time. But sometimes it might be a situation where somebody from your past, because Venus is retrograding at this time. So even though Venus is in Leo, and Leo for you happens to be the 8th house, that in and of itself, Leo retrograde might be a karmic situation, even more than Uranus. Uranus, to me, though, because Uranus is a planet that can be very intuitive, can also give you that instantaneous connection to that person. So look out for that. Obviously, if you are single and looking, you have to circulate. You can't just sit at home eating popcorn. You have to, be where the action is. I'm not talking about in a bar necessarily. Maybe it's other social places, but it's something that you would have to do. That, astrology isn't going to guarantee that something happens regardless. It would have to be under certain circumstances, obviously. On the 30th or 31st, depending on where you live, we have a full moon at 7 degrees of Pisces. Pisces for Capricorn, this is a friendly angle called a sextile. This is happening in your 3rd house. And it can be about something that you realize. Again, the two places, the 3rd house of Pisces and then the 9th house of Virgo, that both of these, I'm talking about in your particular chart, those signs rule those houses. These are mental houses. So the 3rd house deals with the mundane mind, also siblings and extended family members, your local area, neighbors. And full moon here can be you've reached your limit with this. Maybe you've reached your limit of interest. If you have lived in a certain neighborhood, you may be done with it. If you have finished a course in teaching, the 3rd house can be teaching and learning new skills. Maybe you've been training for something and now you're done. The 3rd house is your mind itself, the mundane mind. So you may have a spiritual download that kind of, illuminates you in a higher way so that you can make decisions about what you want to do next. You may hear something from one of your siblings. Okay, that's what I have for you. This is by the way, this is a blue moon, if you want to look at it as more special, that it's happening in your 3rd house. So, Also, this might be a situation where you really, I don't know about going viral, but the third house can be social media, including, I would assume YouTube would qualify. So anything that you put out, you may see like a major increase at this time. So that's what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.